Hey everybody, this is Jamie Stillman with Team Stillman Mortgage, and I appreciate you joining us today. We again are going to have a special guest here, really good friend of mine, a business owner, podcaster, and guy that just wears all kinds of hats and does a lot of really cool things. So I think you'll enjoy it. As always, if we can help you in any way, always reach out. But I'm going to introduce you to Jim Cripps. Thank you for being here today, Jim.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
For sure. So tell me just a little bit about, kind of start out with personal stuff, family and that kind of stuff. Tell me a little bit about you so that people kind of know who we're talking to.
Yeah, so born and raised here in Nashville and Middle Tennessee area. Grew up in Ashland City. Cool. My parents built a place out there kind of in the middle of the game reserve. So,
yeah.
No neighbors for a lot of my youth. And really been here in Middle Tennessee almost my entire life. But on the business side of things, way back when, a lot of people out there worked at Circuit City back in the day. So I started at Circuit City back in the 90s, and then went into the wireless field and was there for 25 years, I guess.
Wow.
And the longest stint was I ran a company in Nashville, grew it from $6 million to a little over $100 million. And then in late 2020, the ownership group decided to cash out.
Gotcha.
And so, at that time, it was really kind of a decision, like, what do I want to do now?
Yeah.
And so now I help other people grow their business. So,
cool.
Not a whole lot of people with kind of my type of background going from single-digit millions through double-digit millions and into triple-digit millions.
Yeah.
And so, it gives me a little bit of a unique perspective. And I tell people very upfront, I'm not your guy for startups. But if you've figured out how to win and you want to figure out how to throw some jet fuel on it, then that's kind of my wheelhouse.
Very cool. Very cool. So what type of companies do you work with or would be good clients for you?
Well, really, this is going to sound mean, but really there's a lot of people out there that say they want to improve their business or say they want to grow or say they want to fix the things, in their business, but aren't ready or aren't willing to do the hard work. And I tell people up front, it's going to be harder before it gets easier. Because a lot of people are like, it's that whole work-life balance. I want work-life balance.
Yeah.
Great. What you've been doing isn't working. And this will work.
Yeah.
But it's going to be more work before it becomes easier or more in line with your life work.
Gotcha.
A great friend of mine and client, and she's been on the podcast a couple times, Valerie Kemp. She's a CPA in Ashland City. And I've known her since I was 5 years old. And she called me and she said, her dad had always been her mentor and kind of coach because she grew up in a entrepreneur family.
Yeah, yeah.
And her dad passed away in 2020, and she said, I don't know if I want to keep my business. I don't know if I want to package it up and sell it, but I know I can't keep going the way I'm going right now. And in basically 2 years' time, she has overhauled her whole business.
Wow.
And the big thing for her is she's a huge basketball fan, but being in taxes, you're not going to watch any March Madness because that is you're neck deep in doing taxes at that time.
Those two go together.
Yeah, and she called me earlier this year, which we met every week, but she goes, I just realized how great my business is now. And I was like, okay, you're calling me at 8:30 at night. What is this? It's going to be good. And she goes, I just realized I've watched 5 basketball games in March Madness.
In March.
She goes, I don't mean I'm doing taxes and it's in the background. She goes, I broke out the popcorn. I watched it like it was a movie, and I couldn't be more proud of her. And that's just one example, but it's got to be somebody that's willing to put in the work.
Yeah,
and because sometimes I have to break up with clients.
Yeah,
because they talk a good game, but then they don't have the execution. Yeah. And I tell people and whether you're an Alabama fan or not an Alabama fan, but everybody gets the reference. Nick Saban does not go out on the field and make the play.
Yeah, and
that's the way I am. I'm not going to go do it for you. I'm here to coach you through it. I'm here to hold your hand, make sure that you know what to do next, and to take have the courage to go do that.
Yeah.
But I don't put the pads on and go do that. I've done that already.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. You said this might sound mean, but it's actually, when you started talking, I was thinking of like the phrase, interested or committed. A lot of people are interested in, I want my business to be more. I want it to be more. So like some mentors I've had in the mortgage industry, when I kind of took the leap from just always being a single loan officer to kind of building a team around me, one of the mentors that I worked with was like, this is going to be hard. Some stuff's going to mess up because you're going to have to delegate. You're going to have to push stuff to other people, and you're going to have to learn. It's not going to go how you want to. But if you'll do this, you're going to see those steps. And I've started to see some of that stuff. And it's one of those great things. One of the people that I work with a lot says, I'll share this with anybody because only a small percentage of people are going to do it anyways. Yeah. So I'm not sharing any secrets, right. Like you said, there's no magic potion or anything like that. But if you can share those steps and somebody's really willing to put the time in, what a difference they can make and how you've grown some companies to numbers that, probably blow people's minds.
Yeah. Well, we used to do corporate turnarounds, and just to be honest, it's more life than I'm willing to give up these days. Mm-hmm. And, when I was, 20s, 30s, early 40s, working 12 hours a day and doing that kind of stuff, and not that I don't put in some long days now, but, working on my own projects or working with really committed clients that are looking to do big things. And, one of the things that I get brought in a lot of times is people want to exit.
Okay.
And my favorite thing, and I tell them up front, is we may exit you, but my goal is that if you are still interested in your business, you're maybe just frustrated with it, is I want to help you get the business to where it, like the reason you got into that field, that excitement comes back. And a lot of times it's just there's so much clutter. We've gotten used to things that are not quite right or that we wanted to change, and, we just got busy. Yeah. Yeah. And when you start holding people accountable, because that's the one thing with entrepreneurs, they don't have necessarily somebody to compete with or somebody to hold them accountable. It's if there's money in the bank, we're good. Yeah. Yeah. And everybody's going to have plateaus, and so sometimes you need somebody to hold you accountable to work through that next plateau. And, one of the things that people, I guess, don't realize, or you got to kind of get into it, is it's not a straight line. Yeah. Life still happens. There's going to be good things that come along, bad things that come along. You're still going to have to run your business while we're improving it. Yeah. And so, it's a process.
And most entrepreneurs, have a reason they got in the business. So, we spend a lot of time talking about working on the business or working in the business. And whichever one of those is what drives you. I mean, by me having a team out there has allowed me to do more of what I love, which is building the business, talking to people, helping people get into homes. For a while, I got, when I was the solopreneur, I got so tied up in files every day and making sure this is ordered and that's ordered, which is all vital to it, but it wasn't what I love about it. Yeah. I love the people. I love getting to meet with people and talk to people and help agents and that kind of stuff. So it got me back to what I love to do. And I'm like, all right, let's grow.
Well, you can't be great at everything.
Right.
And so, and I know it's a cliche, but you got to hire to your weakness. That also allows you to do more of what you love. Yeah. And then it's almost like to your clients, to your customers, if you want to serve more people, then you have to be operating in your strengths.
Absolutely. You have to. That's a great point. So, well, not to jump all over the place, but I have a lot I want to ask you about. So,
sure, go for it.
So I'm going to jump all over the place.
That's good.
So we were talking just a little bit, about health earlier, and I've, been working on myself.
Crushing it.
Trying to eat better, going to the gym, doing all that kind of stuff, and I feel light years different. So tell me a little bit about your health journey, because I had no idea where you went. Yeah. Where you came from to where you are today, rather, which is, pretty phenomenal.
Well, I tell people, and some people think it's a bad thing to start out this way, but I was a fat kid from age 3. I was never a small kid. I was fat. Yeah. And, one of the things is a lot of times when people get successful and those types of things, they'll figure that piece out. That was just not a place that I was successful. And, here I turned 40, and it was actually one big week in that I brought all my team members in. We were doing a big conference, had them downtown at the City Club, for a couple days. It was my birthday week. Also, as a personal goal, I wanted to be worth a net worth of $1 million before I turned 40.
Okay.
And we hit that threshold that week. And I was on the Millionaire Hour with Dave Ramsey.
Oh, wow.
So
Very
all
cool.
those things.
Yeah.
And I had left my company meeting to do the interview with Dave Ramsey and then came back. And I didn't tell them, just, jumped out during lunch and came back.
Gotcha.
But when I got back, right as I was getting back, they sent me the video footage and the pictures from that interview. Now, what should have been cloud nine for us, I was disgusted at how I looked and how sick and old I looked.
Mm-hmm.
And I get upstairs and I look around the room and I realize that the majority of my team members were overweight.
Gotcha.
In my leadership team. And so I'm thinking, well, I'm leading them wrong. Well, I go downstairs, the meeting's over, everybody's headed home, and right as my front tires touched Church Street, as I was about to pull out, or I guess it's 4th Avenue before you turn right on Church, and my notification dinged, and it was a Facebook notification that the most liked picture of that year on Facebook for me was my son eating a donut.
Wow.
And I literally pulled over and cried like a baby. I didn't know what I was going to do. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm leading myself wrong. I'm leading my family wrong. I'm leading my team wrong. Like, I've got to make a change. And I didn't know how I was going to do it.
Yeah.
But kind of went down the keto pathway, and I'm by no means saying that this is the right path for everybody. But I was diabetic at the time. Just all these things were stacking up. And I was like, I've been successful in business. I've been successful in other parts of life. There's no reason I can't figure this out.
Yeah.
And, I'm by no means skinny these days, but I was 305,
Yeah.
and had been for a long time. I mean, I was a freshman in high school at 260.
Okay. Gotcha.
And, and these days I hang out in the 220, 225 range.
Yeah. That's phenomenal.
And, lost it all inside of a year.
Mm-hmm. All with keto?
All with keto and fasting.
Okay.
So I really like when I get into a good cycle. I like to do a 3-day fast every week. Actually, just last month did my first 7-day fast.
Wow.
And that was different because I'd done a 5-day before. I hated a 5-day. Still, the 5th day was torture for me.
Yeah.
But 6 and 7 was pretty easy. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about fasting. My wife does intermediate fasting, and she's had a lot of success with it.
Yeah.
Been doing it for several months and starting to see results. And she's got some other medical stuff she's dealing with, but I mean, the intermediate fasting has been phenomenal for her.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the health benefit side of it, I mean, really, it's kind of like one of those things where we have too much access to food. In that,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we eat more than we should. We eat more often than we should. All those types of things. So like, I probably won't eat. Well, I might eat after our podcast today, and then I'll probably eat one more meal at some point, and then that's kind of my norm is 2 meals a day.
I gotcha.
And I would say most days I'm a 16 or 18 hour fast.
Yeah.
Just because that's what fits into my life. Now, technically I was supposed to have a breakfast meeting this morning. We pushed it to a lunch meeting on Monday, but I mean, I would have absolutely had breakfast with.
Gotcha.
I try not to mess social or business things up in regard to that.
Sure,
by being the weird guy that's not eating, but it just depends on how committed you are.
Yeah.
We actually have some mutual friends that they're on OMAD. They eat once a day. They eat dinner, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so it's whatever works for you.
Yeah. Well, besides the extreme motivation that you got when you have that moment, I feel like everybody has that moment where I'm making a change. Is it just been your commitment in business and those kind of things just carried over to personal and you were able to do it? Or how easy was it to go, okay, now I'm moving forward and not looking back?
It was not easy. Yeah. You're trying to break 40 years of habits. You know what I'm
Yes,
talking about.
Big time.
And this is I'm going to tell on myself here, but one of my favorite people to work with, Lucas Munns, who's my right-hand guy, and he was actually my top competitor for years. And then we merged companies, and he was my right-hand guy for years, and just a great friend. And he told me one day, he said, "Jim, I always know like what your temperature is by whether or not Little Debbie's riding shotgun with you." And
Telltale, huh?
It is. And so you know, I couldn't even tell you the last time I stopped and bought, you know, a stupid thing like that.
Yeah.
Because that plays in my head. You know, whether I would want one or not, it goes, no, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Like I don't need that. That's not what I need to do right now.
That's one of the things I realized when I said I have to make a change, because I had some moments like that too. Yeah. But I realized I'm on the road a lot. I'm in Murfreesboro, so I'm coming down here. Mm-hmm. I'm going to Manchester, Tullahoma. I work with a lot of people in some of the outlying counties. Yeah. And I started really looking at what I was doing, and almost every time I got in the car, I'd stop at a gas station, grab a bag of chips, a Little Debbie, and a Diet Coke.
Processed.
And I started even thinking about, we started talking about calorie count, me and my wife, and I was like, I don't even eat that many calories, because a lot of times I skip meals, I get busy. Mm-hmm. And then I actually went, I went to Manchester and I went to Tullahoma. I stopped when I left and got those items. Mm-hmm. I stopped when I was going to another one, and I stopped coming back. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I probably just consumed 4,000 calories in snack stuff because I thought I don't have time to eat, so I'm just going to grab this. This will get me by. And had no idea that I'm like, man, I'm just piling on the calories, not even thinking about it. And that's when I had to go, okay, got to make a change. Yeah. And start paying attention to what's going on, just like I do in everything else. So it's kind of funny, the little things. Now, if I go in to like get gas, like you were talking about the Little Debbie reminder, I kind of stop and I'm like, I'm not even going in there. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I'm just going to avoid it, because I did not realize how much that was adding up. Also wasn't eating healthy. I mean, I was still eating, when I did have a meal, it was unhealthy, but I just had no idea that, man, even if you were saying taking a 2,000-3,000 calorie day with meals, I was adding some just insane number that now I can't even believe I consume that much. Yeah. It just stopped me in my tracks.
Well, another thing you said is you're only drinking water now.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
You know, I stopped drinking. I was full-blown addicted to Diet Pepsi.
Mine was very similar, just called Diet Coke.
Yeah, I mean, I would wake up in the morning.
Yep.
It was so bad that I almost put a refrigerator in the bedroom.
There you
go. Which sounds just insane.
At one time, I had one in my office.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a big fridge in the kitchen area, but I thought, what a great idea to put a mini fridge in here. I mean, then I can have everything I need right here. Yeah. So, yeah.
I was probably 6 to 8 a day. Mm-hmm. And so that was 10 years ago in August. Okay. So I've been soda free for longer than I've been rid of, whatever that was. Now 65, 70 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people, I think they're like, oh, I came off sodas and I lost 30 pounds. Yeah. I came off sodas and I didn't lose a pound.
Yeah.
I mean,
it didn't do much for me either. Yeah. That was not one of the things that jump started anything. Yeah. It was just a bad habit. Yep. And I think it led to me eating bad by drinking that, because there's all these things you put together. Mm-hmm. Me and my wife talk a lot about movie theater and Cokes. It's like that popcorn, you need like a Coke to go with it or something.
That's right.
And now, so I'm still, a year or so into this, when I have popcorn at the movie theater with water, sometimes I have to go, it takes me a minute to adjust, but just get used to it. Yeah. So
well, I started, because my thing was, yes, I was addicted to Diet Pepsi, but I really liked sweet tea.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
how can you not in the South, right?
Yeah, and I do still drink sweet tea, but it's an ounce in a full glass of water. Okay, it's just enough so that I'm not tasting, whatever the water tastes like.
Yeah, yeah,
and that's enough for me.
Yeah,
so.
get you through. Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's awesome, man. That's incredible that you've gotten that much down and been able to keep it off. It's phenomenal.
Well, and the hope is, I say it's a hope because I have not put it in writing and committed to it. But I'd like to lose about another 40 pounds and get. I would be the lightest I'd been since 7th grade.
That would be something.
So that would be something. Yeah. But it's fun. I know you've got kids. Castle's 12 now. Yeah. And he started going to CrossFit with me. Oh, wow. And, these days, for example, would be on Wednesday. Wednesday, I drop him off at school at 7:15, drop him off, or straight to CrossFit after school, straight to basketball part 2. He gets home at 8:45. Yeah. That kid's gone, he's working on it all day.
Wow.
But, it's kind of one of those things. I had to figure out that I had to lead my family different.
Yeah.
If I wanted him not to follow in my footsteps in that regard.
Yeah. That's really cool. Well, kind of keeping along the same lines of health, you were telling me a little bit of a story earlier, and we kind of got in the conversation of making sure you have, you've planned and you have things in order. So, I mean, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about that, I think it really.
Sure. Well, one of the things, when I come in and potentially work with a client is I want to know, like, do you have your standard operating procedures? Are they laid out? If not, let's figure that out.
Yeah.
I call it the Bible in that, like each location or your business, how does it run? Who does what? Who do you all the way down to who do you call if the plumbing is not working? Who do you call if this is not working? So that if something happened to me, my right-hand person or the newest person could come in and take this and figure out what to do next or figure out what needs to happen when X happens.
Gotcha.
And I do that not just with clients that are looking to overhaul or fix their business, but with clients that are getting ready to sell their business. And a lot of times they get frustrated because they're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And what it does is it usually results in a much higher price when you get ready to sell it.
That makes sense.
Because they realize, like this is dialed in. This person isn't running by the seat of their pants. You slide that manual over and this is the lease information. This is the plumbing information. This is how the business operates.
Yeah.
This is who does what. This is, it puts you at a different level.
I bet.
I worked with this guy years ago. He called me. This was middle of March, and he said, "Hey, I want to exit by the end of the year." Okay, great. It was a business I was very familiar with.
Yeah.
And we started walking through the process, and he goes, "Why am I doing this? I'm trying to exit." And I said, it's part of the process.
Yeah.
Work with me on it. So the net result was he had a couple offers in the fours, and he had an offer that came in, two offers that came in after we had finished the business Bible, and he just slid it across to them before they made their offers. Both offers were an increase of 40 to 50% over what he had been getting. And I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that's going to happen every time, but it changes the feel in the room when you do that.
That kind of presentation, like you said, it makes them go, okay, this is a business that's viable.
That's right.
And not that the numbers look good, but this guy's all over the place.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of people, they think they run a business. They don't really. They just own their job.
Yep.
And that's a gear shift that a lot of people get stuck in. It's kind of almost like they're just stuck in third gear, afraid of what fourth is going to look like.
Yeah.
And we're not even talking about fifth. It's like, but again, I'm a firm believer that everybody needs a coach, and whether it's in the gym, whether it's in business, regardless. I mean, if you're trying to do big things, you need somebody that holds you accountable and also has been where you're trying to go.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way to get there without working with somebody that's been there.
Yeah,
I mean, you've got to have that.
Yeah, and then unfortunately, I can shed some light on one of the pieces that a lot of people give pushback on. Is kind of ironing out the details of succession planning, or what happens if a partner gets sick. What happens, because a lot of us have business partners in some shape, form, or fashion, or it could be a key employee. What happens if that key employee, leaves or gets sick or dies or fill in the blank, and so good, bad, or ugly, we were actually going through that process, and my business partner had an aneurysm.
Oh man!
And went lights out.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, he's improving. We're about 70 days out, and he took his first step yesterday. And I mean, we're incredibly grateful, and we pray every day. But we're talking about a young man that's 48 years old.
Yeah.
And no warning signs. So a lot of people think, I'm too young for that, or my business is not big enough for that, or fill in the blank with a lot of excuses. There's no reason we don't just spend a little bit of time to make sure that all that is covered. Yeah.
I mean, immediately when you were talking, I started going through stuff in my head. I'm like, what if she wasn't here tomorrow?
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Yeah. And I don't think I would tend to bet a lot of people don't have a real plan like that.
Yeah.
Not that everybody's not organized, but a real plan of what if this happens. Because I think I think when people talk about like getting life insurance, for example, I don't sell life insurance, but I think it's probably one of the hardest conversations because you're going to ask anybody, if something happened, would you want to have it? Yes. Yeah. Are you ready to do it now? Oh, I don't know. Well, I'm going to check on this. I'm going to check on that. I got this bill, that bill. I mean, it's one of the easiest things for people to put off.
Yeah.
I'm extremely thankful because I went through the loss of a child, and about 2 years before that, I met a guy that was really persistent in just sharing the message with me. He wasn't salesy, but he just said, this is important. You need to have riders on your kids, that kind of stuff. And at the time when Ryan passed away, I was in a completely different place in my business, everything. And that part of it being able to take off my plate was in the unfortunate event that something this horrible happens, that part of it we don't have to worry about.
Yeah. And, that's one of those, that's a touchy one. I know even in our family, we have polar opposite opinions on that. In that, I have some family members that their kids are heavily insured, and I have no problem with anybody that does. Just for me, I know there's no way I could ever bring myself to spend a penny of it. So, we have essentially a burial policy, and that's it. And it's just because I couldn't handle what that would mean or what that would, I just couldn't.
I think it's really interesting that you said that because we had basically just a rider to our policies that was a little bit more than a burial account, what we thought we would need if that ever happened. We took care of that, and it was really good peace of mind when we were going through the worst time ever in my life, that part was taken care of. But even the small portion that we had left over, we kept it in an account, and it was, me and my wife called it Ryan's account. And we kept saying, maybe someday something will come up that we feel, we can use that for, but it just sits there. Yeah. And I mean, it's literally reality of what you're talking about. We don't know what to do. Yeah. Because so I can't imagine heavily insured. I guess I would be, I can't imagine doing that either because I would just sit there and look at it like I don't feel right doing anything with this.
No. And again, I'm not mad at anybody that does, but it's just one of those things. There's no way I could ever. Yeah. I think with a husband and a wife, because you're using it to take care of your family. Sure. I think if I passed away, I know Emily's going to use that money to make sure that Castle grows up strong and in a good environment and without having any issues. Yeah. So I think it's just different, but there's just no way I'm like you. There's no way, and we hadn't talked about that before. At all. So, but there's just no way I could spend any of it. Yeah. But I like how you guys are going through that in that it's like it's sitting over here, and if we feel pulled to help fill in the blank with whatever that is, then it's sitting there. Yeah, it's
there. But that was so I actually wanted to ask you, we got a couple of minutes left. Yeah. I wanted to, just a little bit of a plug, but definitely wanted you to talk about your podcast a little bit because you were gracious enough to have me on there. I had a great time. I watch it now, listen to it. Every time you do anything out there, I get to check it out. So it's really cool. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about when you're started, kind of how it's gone and what the mission of your podcast is.
Yeah. So, it's kind of crazy if we back up. I mean, if you'd seen me in high school, I was not outspoken. I was the quiet guy, just period. And then, over time, going into leadership roles and that kind of thing, I had to become something different. And it started maybe a few years, I say a few years, maybe a decade ago. Okay. We had a large workforce that was kind of growing, and it was we were across 6 or 7 states then, and I still went every single month, and I trained every person in our company in person. Okay, gotcha. And I was passionate about that because a lot of things get lost in translation, and by the time you get 5 rungs down, it's something different than what you really intended. And if you think about it, like even Nick Saban like he talks to his players. Yeah, yeah. Now the offensive coordinator is there, and they may be doing something very specific, but as far as real game plan, what we're here to do, that comes directly from the coach. Yeah, yeah. And so I was trying to do that, and then what I realized is there were some things that were popping up because we were getting so big that needed to be happening in more real time, and I didn't need to pass it through the ranks. And so I knew people weren't reading emails.
Yeah.
And so we started doing a 10-minute kind of TV show for our company. And so in 10 minutes or less, we would get out all the information, which usually ended up, being me 7 of the 10 minutes that was needed for that week or for that promotion or whatever that was. And we did a little over 200 episodes. And we tried to keep it, kind of fun when it could be fun, serious when it had to be serious, and keep people's attention. And then I met Nick Hyder.
Yeah.
And, Nick was like, you should have a podcast. And I had not really thought about it, but it sounded great. I was like, maybe so.
Yeah, I probably should have a podcast.
I probably should have a podcast. And then it started, and I know this, it's like, okay, well, where would I get guests and how would I find them? And, what's the theme? The theme for me was kind of the hardest thing. And the Charge Forward podcast, really the undertone of the podcast is people who charge forward when other people would give up.
Okay.
And so a lot of times that's entrepreneurs or people that have been through big things, like yourself, both, or athletes. Just there are so many wonderful people that do amazing things that we see, and we have no idea what their story is.
Yeah.
We have
cool.
We have no idea what amazing things that they have lived through or that they've accomplished or, fill in the blank with whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And
so that's my mission, is to help tell those stories.
Yeah.
And so I love, working out of the studio here at the Hit Lab.
Yeah.
The team is fantastic.
Definitely.
And, Nick told me, he was like, you're going to have to do this weekly. And that's a big undertaking.
Man, that is weekly.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I will say this, and I want to say thank you to any of my watchers or viewers that are watching this. I did take a break recently. We did have 3 weeks that we did not have an episode. That's the first time ever. And my favorite guest, my mentor, my dad passed away.
Yeah.
And
I was going to say just a second ago, I've seen so many phenomenal stories that you've had people on and told. Your dad's episode, I'll never forget.
Yeah.
Because it was just, it was cool to see you guys interact, which made it entertaining. But some of the stuff that he uncovered and stuff that you talked about, how y'all had dealt with the Veterans Affairs and everything, it opened my eyes. And I've actually watched a couple of other podcasts that have similar tones to it. And so it had a huge impact on me. It was kind of cool. And it gave me a little bit of perspective. We work with a lot of veterans and I've always been a big proponent and talked about, veterans earn
That's right.
Their mortgage. That's why it's the best out there. That's why it's got some advantages, because they earned it and they deserve it.
Yeah.
But I didn't mean to interrupt you. But your interview with your dad was one I'm going to remember for a long time. Yeah,
well, it was fun. And then one that comes out in a couple weeks is my son was on.
Oh, very cool.
And that's just a whole different thing. And it's an interesting kind of development in that my son is taking a broadcasting class.
Wow.
And he was selected just last week for the Veterans Day program. He was selected out of, they only selected 3 out of 800 kids to present. And
wow.
They picked his. You had to submit your essay. And then I got a lot of feedback from his teachers that even though he's a 6th grader and the other 2 were 8th graders, that his was the best presentation.
Yeah. And a broadcasting class. And you were talking about when you were in high school, you were pretty...
Oh, yeah.
Pretty withdrawn. Yeah, I was too. It always blows people's mind when you reconnect on Facebook and different things that I do anything related to sales or anything where I even talk to people, because they're just like, man, you barely spoke in high school. I'm like, I know it's kind of a weird thing for me too, to think how introverted I was to now I'm trying to have conversations with everybody that I can all the time.
Well, I think it's those that are committed to, I'm not stuck in a box.
Yeah.
I can become whatever it is that I want or need to become. And that's part of just personal development.
Yeah. I think that's a great point.
So I look at that. I kind of to my dad's story. My dad was when I was growing up, he was a laid back, just quiet guy, handled his business and no fuss, no muss. And then in order to take on VA, he had to become something different. I mean, he had to become an animal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was trying to prove something that was classified, and they said, you're never going to prove this.
Yeah.
And when he finally did, I mean, it opened the door for thousands of veterans to then get their medical benefits that had been, kind of shunned away because it was classified. So they were,
Wow.
But it just proves, I mean, all the way to the end, my dad passing away at 76.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was planning on living every single day. I mean, within the last month of his life, he bought a new truck.
Yeah.
And it was not because he wanted to leave a brand new truck sitting in the driveway.
Yeah.
It was because he wanted a new truck because he was planning on being here.
Man, that's awesome.
And
that is awesome.
I think we've got to constantly be planning to be here.
Yeah.
And make the most of every moment in order to live the right life.
Yeah. That's kind of full circle too. I didn't get into my whole motivation for my health stuff, but we went to Disney with my daughter when she was pregnant with daughter that's here now and had a 1-year-old. And they were meeting some friends down there. They went to college, and they just said, would y'all mind coming down here and kind of hanging out with the baby so we can enjoy this before we've got 2 under 2 and really enjoy it. And so that trip made us realize how much more quality of life we need to live to be able to hang out with our grandkids.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing in the world. Becoming a grandparent, which everybody will tell you is the coolest thing in the world. And but we just had these moments where like, man, we just pushed a stroller around for about an hour and we're both about to die. And I'm like, it's got to be better than this, So, I mean, that's when we both started going, okay, we need to focus on living every day, just like what you were talking about with your dad. I mean, we don't need to plan on, hey, this is just where we're at. See how long we live, and I think people literally get trapped in that,
They do. And I'll give a big shout out to a lady that inspires me. So I go to CrossFit, and one of the ladies, she kind of started the Golden Girls group.
Okay.
Her name is Pam. Big shout out to Miss Pam. So she has Parkinson's, and at 68 years old, I think she's 70 or 71 now. At 68 years old, her doctor told her that if she wanted to push off the effects of Parkinson's as long as possible and to stay as self-sufficient as long as possible, she needed to start going to CrossFit.
Oh, wow.
She knew nothing about CrossFit.
Yeah.
She was petrified. She comes in, and these days she comes 3 days a week.
Okay.
She does not skip a day because she knows, she's like, if I skip a day, if I don't get my 3rd day, I will pay for it next week. It shows up in my symptoms.
Wow.
And, I mean, she's in there sweating, getting it done. And some days it may be a training bar with 2.5s on each side.
Yeah.
That's 20 pounds.
Yeah.
But she's not sitting at home in front of The Price is Right or fill in the blank with whatever else she could be doing. She showed up, she put in the work so that she can live a better day next week than alternative.
And you hear about something like that, or you see her. How does that not motivate you to go, I can do this?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, look what, and I think one of the coolest things about even, coming over here to the HIT Lab and learning about what they do and meeting people like you, and just also bringing in people to talk to that I know surface wise kind of in business and talk a little bit deeper. I'm like, man, like you said, what people are going through or what they've accomplished, or I mean, I've found motivation in so many different ways. The more people I meet, the more stories I hear, I'm just like, it convinces me to keep doing what I'm doing. Helps that little motivation bug or that little voice in your head that kind of tells you, don't push anymore, or you're doing enough. I'd meet so many people, or I see a podcast like one of yours and I'm like, man, I can handle what I'm doing. There's always people dealing with so much more than what I've got on my plate, and they're handling it. They're getting up and going the next day. So, I mean, it's extremely motivating to get to hear people's stories. And so I love everything that you share.
Well, there's a lot of things that you're doing right now and that I've done, and you're trying to improve your life, whether it's health or whether it's your business or whatever. I almost look at that, you're training for whatever's coming, good or bad.
Yeah.
And, we do not get out of this alive. It's it's
guaranteed.
It's guaranteed. But what quality we have and what we get to do during that time, we have control over.
Yeah.
And I just want people to live the best life they can possibly lead.
Yeah.
And that's why, much like you, I feel compelled to. I have to meet these people. I have to get them to tell their story.
Yeah.
Because somebody might tune in that needed that piece.
Yep. So true. So true. Well, man, thank you so much for joining us today. If you've got a minute, tell people where to find your podcast at, how to contact you, anything like that, man, because there's a lot of good that can come from reaching out to you.
Yeah. So, the name of my company is Charge Forward Solutions, and the podcast is the Charge Forward Podcast. We're on every major platform out there. Awesome. So I don't hide on the internet very well. But, I'm here in Middle Tennessee. I do have clients that are not in Middle Tennessee, so, I've been using Zoom since I think Zoom was an infant, but I do prefer for people to be local, but it's not a requirement. And I'm always looking for more amazing guests to come on and be a part of the show. We've had some fantastic ones, and you never know when the next crazy, awesome story is going to be, or that somebody's going to share something that maybe they haven't shared before that inspires somebody to make improvements in their life. And, so that's really what we're all about. My email address is jim@chargeforwardsolutions.com. And again, I don't hide on the internet very well.
We can find you.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, for joining us today. Take a minute and reach out to Jim if you've got any interest in anything that he's got going on. Absolutely a stand-up, phenomenal guy. And check out his podcast because there are some great stories on there, some great guests, a lot of stuff you can learn, a lot of stuff you can get motivated by, and a lot of stuff just to encourage you along, which is what we're about as well. So check him out, and we'll see you next time.